in Romania. I mean, that has, oh, let there be light. That has to be such a cool sensation knowing that this fandom is global. I mean, people love it in every part of the world. What is that like for you guys, knowing how big of a fandom there is?
I didn't know these books, I knew of them, but I hadn't read them before the filming began. And one of the great joys for the last 20 years now has been meeting people who the books changed their lives. And now the films changed their lives. And the films, I think, are a very honest, genuine attempt to tell the books. They were created by people who loved them.
And they were rigid about it too. What we did had to be true to the had to be true to the books, and if we wanted to get an adjustment made, we would go to the writers and say, what about this? And they say, where is it in the books? And if it's there, you could do it. But that was Peter. This was his dream to do these films. He worked so hard to get them on too. He had to traipse around all over the world trying to get someone to finance them, and no one wanted to. And he finally went into New Line Cinema in Los Angeles and said, "Who's the pitch again?" And the fellow said to him, "So you want to make one of these films?" And he said, "Yes." "Why don't you make all three of them?" That's how it came about, because they figured it would be cheaper to do it that way. And,
It was the first trilogy, right, to be shot concurrently all in a row, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And initially, when it was with Miramax, it was going to be 2 films.
So they cut halfway through the 2 towers. And that had never been the intention, but it was, the bosses were saying this is what we're going to fund. So when it all changed and New Line stepped in, then it truly became. And I think it is perfect as 3 films. It needs to be 3 films.
I think so too.
Yeah, for sure.
And they were very supportive, weren't they? The whole
they were amazing.
Everyone supportive of it. But it deserved to be supported. And Jackson just was on fire. He was on fire.
What was his style like as a director?
Well, I shouldn't do caricature. Nah,
It's just amongst us.
yeah. Look, he was. He wore shorts in the middle of winter. In New Zealand, this is. I mean, it's crazy. And he waddled a lot. And whenever you do something, he say, "Yeah, do it again." Do it again. I had one scene. Anyway, I had to fall backwards onto these stairs, and so I did the actor thing, protected myself going back. He said, "No, you look like an actor." I said, "Okay." And so then the art department, sweethearts, they brought out some padding so I wouldn't hurt myself. And I felt like, "You get rid of the padding, make it real." So I finally did, and 17 times, because that was what he did. I was so bruised. I took my pants off that night, as I often do. But I was out with the boys, and I said to Billy, "Boy, have a look at this." And he took a photo of it. And I've never seen that photo. But I imagine what it looked like.
Somewhere on the internet.
But it's out there, is it?
Yeah,
one of those soft porn.
Yes.
Old guys porn stuff.
Oval buttocks.
Oh, yeah. It'd be an S&M one because I was so bruised, I tell you. Enough of that. Peter Jackson was on fire. He worked with a cinematographer called Ian Leslie, who's an Australian. They were like joined the hip. The way they worked together. And unfortunately, he died prematurely just recently, a couple of years ago. And I wondered how Peter would survive without him. Just amazing to watch. The planning and they spoke as well, right?
And they sort of would know.
Yeah.
There were moments when there was one day I think 5 different units were shooting, and sometimes you'll have with a film you'll often have a second unit, but that's usually a much smaller. These were full industrial, big budget movie units. So they would have
the last day. It was on the last day.
5 lots going all at once.
Yep, the last day.
And Peter would be in a tent with monitors all there. And he would be, talking here and they had their own satellite. New Line bought him a satellite, and I think satellite time. But so he would on a mountain, just 300 miles away. People were filming in the snow, and he'd be like, "Yep, no, a bit over to the left. Yep, move that. Okay, right. No, let's have a look at that. Rehearse that. Yep, okay, set that up." Then he'd come here, and they'd be in studio. Then he would rush into a studio beside him. Then he'd pop his head out of the tent and go somewhere else. And he had but all through the film, he knew where every piece was going to fit well before it even became, on celluloid. He understood every beat of this film and every frame of this film, I think, before we ever arrived in Europe.
They've done a storybook. Sometimes in film and television they do a storybook. An artist will sketch up the... What bad? Sometimes in film, the voice drop too. Very nice. They do a storybook, and that's a sort of a guide for what shots they'll take. With the 3 films of Lord of the Rings, they had done this, which was absolutely intense and accurate all the way. So the reference point was, doesn't matter, it was 9 months into the shoot. I remember that. Okay, we'll do that. They had it planned, which is why it worked so well.
I was in there.
You were in there.
I did the voice. I played Frodo. I played Legolas. I played the Nazgûl.
Did you? Were they in the film with me?
They were the
And
other ones.
Denethor.
No, I never got to play Denethor.
No, I bet you did.
They left that. They said, to be played by John Mobley.
Oh, yeah. Right, great.
But it was, we did that over, first we recorded the 2 films as a radio play, then we did the 3. And it was the most fun, because we had no idea they were going to be big films. We just thought, Peter's making he'd made slasher films before, and Heavenly Creatures.
Heavenly Creatures, beautiful.
And so we were, we go, how does a Frodo talk? I'm going to be Frodo! But the Nazgûl, this is the one thing I would, apart from being a Lego character because of this film, is the Nazgûl sound, the kind of sound. Basically, I made that. Fran claims that she did, and her scream is also in it, but that is my original scream mixed in with the Nazgûl. Thanks very much.
You heard it here.
Wonderful story. Good night.
So, John, you did mention that you filmed in New Zealand, and it is just so beautiful. Everything about these films is so just exceptional to look at. Did you guys have a favorite filming location?
I don't know. I worked in Wellington in the studios there, and in a big quarry a few miles north of there, which was Minas Tirith, but I didn't go to South Island.
I did a little bit of mountain stuff.
Did you?
Oh,
It's the most beautiful country. It's a tiny little place. The whole of the New Zealand population was involved in this film, it seemed to me. Seriously. They took it so personally. At one stage or other, they wanted a few horsemen to do a charge. And we had hundreds and hundreds of people turning out from all over the islands with their horses in the back ready to go. And they were very undisciplined too. They were terrific. But that's the way the New Zealanders... Wellington was turned over to us, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely turned over.
I think at one point they needed sound effects of marching and the urukai coming. And so Peter probably just phoned the head of the army and said, can we have your guys? And then he phoned a stadium and said, can we have the stadium? And so all of New Zealand Army just turned up in a stadium, and he got to be Mussolini and go, march, march, march! And they recorded the entire New Zealand Army being urukais. So don't pick on us, because we'll send an urukai army when Australia invades.
As if we'd bother. we're Australia and New Zealand, a bit like Canada and the United States. They sort of sound a bit the same, but Australians are better.
We're politer.
You were very polite.
Oh yeah, but full of fury underneath our politeness.
Of course you are.
So,
They could not make great films.
if it's okay with you guys, we're going to take some questions from the crowd. So I guess just put your hands in the air and we'll call
Hands
you.
in the air.
All right, let's go with this lady right here.
Do you have any souvenirs from the filming? Like original souvenirs?
The only thing I took was a pair of ears that I was given, and they are rotting and mouldering and festering, quite possibly evolving somewhere. I have no idea.
Sounds like a scene from Fringe. We actually grew an ear once. Actually. No, I didn't take anything. I'm not a collector. And,
Or a thief.
I did take a pair of sunglasses off a set once. I still think about that.
Joshua Jackson's going, oh my eyes.
No, but a lot of people did, and somehow or other, those belong to history. A lot of those things now. I mean, anything I would have taken went on tour with the New touring exhibition of the show. So there's nothing I would have taken. Happily.
I think I think it's all in a museum in Los Angeles now.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know my sword's there. It must be. It's cool. There's a fellow.
Our sweat is in a museum, John.
Thank you for that.
It's a whole new
Thought
perspective.
before lunch.
Sounded fun.
Yes.
Apart from the characters you play, is there a specific character that's like near and dear to your heart?
I love the Merry and Pippins. I love those two boys because they don't. They're sort of on the side of things. They're not running the main mission, but they are such the heart of what little hobbits are. They are the joyful, playful, naughty, and in a way for me, they are the thing that the world is being saved for them to exist, and I love them for that.